like glowing. If you're getting them, I'm getting them.
Hi, hello, and welcome to The Bookish Life.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Tori. In today's episode, we're chatting about dark romances, which is something I don't know if we've ever talked about on the podcast.
I don't think we have. We've done like fantasy, historical.
Yeah.
Dark.
It's been a while since we've been in a dark romance mood, though.
Yes, but I texted you like an hour before. I was like, let's talk about dark romance because we were both talking about the book we both want to read. And I don't know how you did not tell me the like TikTok you saw about it. Is it spoilery? Is that why?
It was something from the second book.
Okay, because I'm about to start a dark romance reading vlog and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to read the book that you talked about in your TBR. And I was like, that's a book I'm going to read for it because everybody on TikTok's talking about it. And you're like, I saw one thing. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, it was just, it drew me in and I was like, I really want to read this book. So why not?
Well,
she's a new to me author too.
Insatiable by Lee Rivers. I feel like, did she write the one with like the red spiderweb on the cover too? Okay. Yeah. I've seen her online a lot. I don't know what any of her books are about, but I see people talking about them. So I'm intrigued. And I really want a dark romance.
See, what I saw, the little like snippet I saw, I don't think it has anything to do between the hero and the heroine. I think it was something with like a dad in the second book. Like it was his context? Like his kid. Like something happened to his kid and he was like going to go. I am literally, when I tell you I don't know anything about this book, I don't know. But that one line, I don't want to say it because I don't know if it's a spoiler. But like I was like, I'm sold. Why not?
I'm excited. I hope I like it because like, once I was watching like one dark romance video, like a ton started popping up and like everybody's talking about that series. Can I tell you even like what the subgenre is? Absolutely not. I have no idea. Like mafia, stalker, I don't know. I just want to read it.
Oh, I think the insatiable one is like he's been watching her for a while.
So I don't know. So like I read Phantom by H.G. Carlton. Not dark at all. I was like, this is too nice for a dark romance. Like, this is not. But he's supposed to be like kind of like stalkerish. But like Lights Out stalking, I recently talked about that in a video I just filmed yesterday. I was like, oh my God, I love it. He's just like checking in on her at work so that he can like know what she's doing to make sure she's okay. It was like sweet stalker, but still like not too sweet. But he was just like, I love you and I'm obsessed with you. So I just need to know what you're doing every second of the day. I'm like, yes, you do. So
yeah.
That was a fun one. Like, I really loved Lights Out.
I haven't read a dark romance in I don't know how long. Like, I think in 2022 was like the year of dark romance where I read a lot of like mafia, dark. And I think that's like the last time that I truly like just dove headfirst in a dark romance.
Yeah.
So now it's coming back around. I'm like, now I got to catch up on the last 2 years of all the dark romances that have come out that I haven't read.
Yeah, I mean, like, and there's definitely like a scale when it comes to dark romances. I feel like a lot of what I've been reading, especially like mafia, has been like mafia light, and I'm like, do something cool, like, give me some dark romance here, because I just read When She Tempts by Gabrielle Sands, and it like wasn't dark enough for me. I was like, I mean,
I'm of the mindset that mafia romances can be dark, but not every dark romance can be considered like a mafia romance too. Like they don't go hand in hand.
No, because I mean, like
head.
I feel like a lot of dark romance lately has been more on the stalker side than the mafia side that's been getting popular. Like even and people told me I wouldn't like it, but I'm kind of intrigued. C.R. Janes. Her stalker mafia stuff. Isn't there something that you like were very disturbed by in that book though?
Okay, so I think it was C.R. Jane. Was it C.R. Jane? I read it was a hockey romance, okay? Yes. And I think he was a pro hockey star and it was going well. Like he was an alpha hole for half of the book, right? Like the first half. And I was like, okay, just over the top alpha hole. I'm into it. And then he low-key like makes her not leave and like keeps her like in the bait. I was like, I can't do this. This is like too unhinged. This switched up too much for me. I don't understand where this shit came from. I am hella confused. Am I reading a hockey romance or am I reading like a dark romance? So that was not for me. And I think like maybe I just read the wrong one, but I was like, this don't work for me. I don't like that. It's mixing too much. I was confused. I was like, I don't get it. But like The Ritual by Chantal Tessier, I really like that one. But then I read the second book in the series,
which is the most popular one.
Yes. And I was like, this shit is too unhinged for me. Like, I didn't know what was, like, it was just over the top. And I was like, what is happening in this book right now?
That's one I really want to get, like, caught up on. Like, I haven't read those yet, but like we went to the Barnes & Noble we were at, they had all of them, and I was like, why is this author everywhere? And every signing we go to, like, her line is insane, and people go feral to see her, and I'm like,
It reminds me of like how H.G. Carlton is, like how people are so excited because of the Haunting and Hunting Out line, which what is not like the first stalker romance ever, but she got really popular.
It was,
like,
I feel like, the first
ago.
Viral one. Yeah,
especially on Book Talk.
Who I really feel like paved the way for those to get darker, and I don't even think, maybe I'm not remembering it right, but they're not, honestly not that dark, is the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. I feel like it's like the like OG dark romance to really go viral and like pave the way for like H.G. Carlton and stuff like that. But when I'm like, they weren't really that dark. Like, sure, they wore masks, but like, were they dark?
I will say, oh my gosh. Kill Switch?
Is it Damon's book?
Damon or Damien, whatever. Damien, I think is his name. With
Winter can't see, right?
Yeah. So, but there's something that happened in the previous books about like with him that can be considered dark.
Yeah.
So like it's dark-ish, but like I like them. I haven't read the last book in the series. It's one series I haven't finished, which is so weird because I love that series. I'm like, do I need to like finish and just reread all of them to finish it out?
You haven't read? I mean, the last book's my least favorite.
I don't like Will. I don't like him. So I'm like, I never continued on with his book.
It's a weird plot, and there's also, so like a couple of them are related, like in the couples, you know, and there's like a group scene, and I'm like, that's literally your brother right next to you. Like, no. So.
I mean, it's like the credence thing. I didn't care.
I mean, that's different.
But I also feel like with Mafia and like Stalker and like sometimes Stalker romances like are Mafia, like he stalks her first. Yeah. And I don't always consider those dark, but then there's like separate from dark is Taboo. Not every Taboo book is dark. Like I don't think Credence is a dark book.
No.
It's just really taboo.
There's like, I guess you could say some of the scenes are kind of like non-con between her and Caleb, but not really.
I mean,
like you could argue that, but like it is not a dark romance.
No. Maybe it's because we're more experienced dark romance readers. Like I haven't read some in a while.
Well, so like people say that the Melissa K. Roerick series is a dark romance, and I'm like, no, that's just like she might be like forced with the bond, but like she really wants it. And so I read Feathers So Vicious though, and like that is like basically non-con the whole time, but she likes it. So I don't know what you call that, like, because it's not dub-con, because like she literally doesn't want it, but then she's like, man, I liked that. So like that's definitely dark romance.
Oh yeah, like the Enslaved Duet by Gianna Darling. That is dark. That is what I would consider. I mean, I love those. She takes you on a journey.
But they're dark.
Yeah. But like the trilogy with this other sister, that's Taboo because there's cheating involved.
Evolution of Sin is not dark at all. Yeah.
No, it's just Taboo. But because they're like the covers, people think, I don't know, maybe.
I don't know.
Even Dante and Elena, the anti-heroes in love, that's not dark.
No.
It's just Mafia.
What? Oh, I was going to say something now I forget. But what? Oh, Rina Kent. So I think it's interesting because I'm now Rina Stan, obsessed with her books. And you tried to read God of Malice, correct?
Yeah.
But I tried to read
the God of Malice book with the like dubious the dubious consent in the beginning of the book. And like I personally, as a dark romance reader, I can usually get over certain things. I don't remember if it was that book, but if the hero does something particularly to the female character, but like never apologizes, I don't know. It's weird to me.
The point I'm making about that book before you are segueing into another book I want to talk about is they changed it when Bloom republished it. I heard they took out that part of the beginning to publish it traditionally. I'm going to read I don't know if it changed as an ebook. So I'm going to get it from KU if it's still on KU. And I don't know if they would have changed the ebook or not. I don't know how that works.
Do you have the physical book?
Yeah.
I mean, you could just read the beginning of the
two.
I
could compare it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it'd be pretty obvious if I read the ebook and I'm like, whoa. And it's like, okay, yeah. But your point, because I was just trying to think, like, what is the darkest romance I've read? But, like, I don't know.
I would say maybe Untouchable by Sam Mariano.
That's the one I wanted to talk about because that's one I don't like because of how he treats her in the beginning. And, like, it's non-con and she does not want it. Like, I'm okay with non-con if she actually, like, likes it. But, like, she did not want that. And that man was not redeemable.
What is the other book that we liked by Sam Mariano?
I've only read that by her.
I have a copy. Hang on. I need to look. Hang on.
So many of our friends love that book, but I was like, I draw the line where the hero's not even redeemable.
Even If It Hurts. Okay, so people, Even If It Hurts came out like a little while after Untouchable. I'm getting all like, all worked up right now. Okay, so Even If It Hurts by Sam Mariano is very similar to Untouchable, where he does certain things that
I gave Even If It Hurts 3 stars. I didn't like it. I've read it.
I really love that book. Now, I am someone who I like dark romances because I like to explore heroes and or heroines, because I would consider like the Mind F series, that's definitely a dark romance. I like to explore the like psyche of those characters and why they do the things that they do and the reasonings behind them. Okay? So that's like, we're getting deep into why I like dark romances, but all of the dark romances that I have loved, it's usually because they have something that, you know, the way their mind works or the way that you had like basically if they, what's the word? Like if they're a sociopath. I like to read books when they are like that. I have a problem with Rina Kent because I feel like of the books that I've tried, her heroes, there's not a reason for them to do the things that they do. To be fair, I haven't gotten... I know, but I like that part of it. And I think that's why Rina Kent doesn't always work for me. But there's no reason,
unless there was, for Untouchable for him to be like that. Like, there was no redeeming quality for him. And I did not believe the romance. I was like, who would even like this man? That first,
I don't remember. Listen, I don't remember Untouchable. I remember rating it like 4 stars, but I read it after I read Even If It Hurts. So like, I love the hero because I think she like really dived into like his psyche and Even If It Hurts, of like the reasons why he does things.
The good part about Rina though is like they're literally just unhinged, obsessed men. Like they do not need a reason. That is the way they are.
No. Being obsessed and unhinged is different than being like unhinged and like deranged and doing things like the non-con part of that.
But that is what unhinged means. They are literally,
well, like I'm saying, there's
unhinged.
Like them being like obsessive over a female where it's like, I want to stalk you because I just am so attracted to you. Like that's different than like, I'm going to take her without her consent because of why? I don't know. There's no reason. There's no backstory. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
But I need
the backstory.
Like they don't
need a bitch with a backstory, okay?
But like, there's oftentimes no reason for them being unhinged. That's just the way they are. I'm assuming that's the why I like C.R. Jane. Like I haven't read any of hers, but I'm assuming they just like that's just who they are. That's
yes,
it.
And I'm like,
there's no reason.
I need to know.
There's
like
no reason.
The Mind F series, I love her. I love Lana because it's like her past and the reason why she does things. Yeah. Like I loved
like
Even If It
Hurts,
revenge
story.
Yeah, but like you see that they've had either their own trauma or you've seen that they've had like something in their past. Like even if you take the Melissa K. Roark series of how Theon is like so pushing. I mean, I don't consider that dark fantasy, but I see how some could. But like how Theon is constantly pushing Tessa to just like, you know, accept the bond, because in his life and his past, he has only shown love and been able to like protect anyone that he loves by having control over them. So like that's the psyche part of it that, I mean, I get that in the 3rd book, but like you explore more of like Theon and his backstory. But like I like the backstory. I like to know why people do the things that they do. Sometimes, you know what I mean? And I feel like I know, and it just doesn't. And I think that listen, I want to be a Rina stan. I want to obsess and I want to love the books.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like also, because I haven't read a ton of Rina, but I feel like she does have a lot of books, though, where there are reasons why they are the way they are. Like,
is that the trilogy you read?
Yeah.
I haven't read that one.
I mean, he's not really like super unhinged. He's like normal mafia guy. But when someone who's unhinged has a reason, it's less dark than if they're just completely unhinged for no reason. Like that's a level up of I'm unhinged because I have this tragic backstory and I have to react the way this is versus like I'm just a psychopath. Like, and I just do what I do.
No. Okay. I understand. Okay, listen. I understand that usually sometimes people who are psychopaths, there is no reason. They just are the way that they are. But I like to explore their psyche in their head before we like. Do you know what I mean? Like I just like to be able to like see in their brain to like how
well, I mean,
they
then you have more
things.
empathy for them, especially if they have something like super traumatic happen to them.
In my head, I can justify a dark romance when they do unhinged crazy stuff if I understand. And I just maybe think it's with that. Is it God of Malice where they had the dub con at the beginning or non-con, whatever it was? I think because like we just jump right into that, I'm like
that's the same with Untouchable.
I don't remember Untouchable. Okay, I can't. If I don't remember it, I can't talk about it.
He forces her. He's just like, I hate you.
Oh, but he's a bully. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about dark romance. But like, I want to be on the Rina Kent hype train. I'm just like,
I think you would like the Monster Trilogy. That's what Lacey told me to read, and I love it. So, like, that's just straight up mafia, not like her normal Legacy of God series.
Yeah,
but I
like,
also. Oh, go ahead.
You read which was the yellow cover?
God of Fury.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, Jess from Honest Fiction just read that too. And she gave it 5 stars. She's like, it's one of my all-time favorite books.
Because it's super emotional too. Like
I know when you said that.
Yeah.
Yes. And you said it deals with a lot about mental health. And that's why I would also like it. So I'm like, okay, maybe I do need to just get over the first book. The first book didn't happen. Like we'll just, not worry about that right now and just dive into some of her other books. But isn't the new book coming out, the green cover, Kiss of a Villain? That's like a standalone?
Technically, yeah, but like you see those characters in God of Fury.
Oh, I don't care about that. But also God of Fury has Brandon as one of the main characters, and that's my husband's name. So
the audiobook's really good though, because Teddy's one of the narrators.
Yeah. So I'm like, do I just get rid of that first book by Rina? And like, I didn't actually, but I've read like 3 other books by Rina. I've tried like 3 books or something like that. I don't know. I want to be a stan. But like, I don't know if we just don't work well together. Her writing, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I gotta find the right book though.
I do think it's interesting though, because like maybe like Still Beating, like that's a dark romance, but it's a very, very different dark romance than like Haunting Adeline, because like there's dark subject matter that happens to the characters versus like the characters doing the dark things.
I think of it as the same. Like they can both be under dark romance. Like I definitely consider Still Beating dark romance, not only because of the topics that are talked about, but because of the things that they were forced to do. Yeah. The non-con at the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like technically they didn't want to be together.
But like it wasn't like they wanted to, but like in the other dark romances, like they are fully like aware of what they're doing and that it's bad and still doing it to the other person.
Yes. But
which
there's
I
like
find
levels,
way
right?
darker than people being
like there's levels. There's definitely like even The Wrong Heart by Jennifer Harman. Have you read that book?
Yeah.
That one I wouldn't consider dark, but like yes, I would. It's weird. It's like light dark because of the content that's talked about it. They talk about suicide and like suicidal thoughts so much in that book. Like it is the center of both of the characters and what they're going through, that it's like dark triggering topics that technically could be. But
I don't know if that would be like a dark romance.
What would you categorize it as?
Like a emotional romance and like with heavy trigger warnings, like. But like I feel like
if there's heavy trigger warnings for whatever the case may be, like with your mental health, emotional health, physical well-being, like all of that, like I would still consider it.
Like even if they're just like talking about the dark subject and not like.
No. Like they talk about dark things, but it's not on page. I think that if it's on page, whatever those things are, like if they're actively talking about like suicidal thoughts in the moment, or if they're talking about non-con in the moment, I think that's considered dark romance if it's on page rather than if it's talked about in the past. So like that's why I consider Still Beating, because the torture and all of that stuff that they went through, the psychological torture too, is on level.
of dark romance.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
There's like not a scale. I would say a scale.
But I also feel like it depends on kind of like what you can put up with and what's triggering to you. So like, to me, The Wrong Heart's not dark, but like to you, that's dark. And like Untouchable, I was like, this is horrible. And then like everyone's like, oh my God, it's the best. I love it. So it's like, it just depends. I mean, obviously, it's like person to person.
Oh, Sea of Ruin, Pam Godwin. That's definitely dark.
I'm trying to think of like the darkest romance I've read. Oh, you know what? Pam Godwin. What? Oh my God, what is it called? It's the first book. It's a Deception, where he is kidnapped and she is training him to be a sex slave, and he falls for her. Like, it's their romance.
Interesting.
That was really dark.
Okay, so I pulled up popular dark mafia romance books because I have a feeling I can't think of the name.
Why did you do mafia? I feel like mafia aren't that dark.
No. They're my darkest romance that I've read is a mafia, and I cannot remember the title of the author's name. But it takes place in Chicago. Ruthless People by J.J. McAvoy. That one, both of the characters I love it, but I feel like from what I remember, both of the characters are completely unhinged, and they're both rival mafia families.
Oh, because she's the mafia.
Yes. I don't remember if they're from mafia families, like rival families, or they become mafia rival families, but the series is crazy. And the reason why I say that is I read this back in like 2016, 2017. Like, it's been a while, so it's a little fuzzy. But what I remember is like she had no hesitation in killing men, women, and children for the sake of like their rivalry.
See, but that's just like normal. Like it comes to like killing people and like taking them out. Like that doesn't make a book dark.
It's like no, but like in her head, the way that she was thinking of it was just so.
I mean, I don't see anything
wrong with it,
but yeah.
But that one was probably what I always hesitate. Like, I enjoyed, and it was crazy.
What I like, where I draw the line is where they were like abused when they were young, and it's on page. And I was like, I don't need to read it. Like, you can tell me that's their trauma, but like, I really hate it when they put it on page.
How do I say this? There is like very few things that I will just not read, but I definitely have to be like in the mindset for certain dark topics, especially with mental health. Like, I personally, just because I struggle with that, I cannot dive into a book without that type of trigger warning. And if I do and I'm taken back, it's AKA A Little Life by, what is it, Hanya? That's not a dark romance. But that one, I was like, there was no warnings for this book. That's not a dark romance, but just a book that really was like in your face.
Yeah.
But I can't do young characters like in their past on page. Like, you can tell me like in a flashback what happened and it's like alluded to.
Yeah.
In Taming 7, there's a part where they're talking about their backstory. And it's like little snippets of flashbacks that happen. And I can do that because it's insinuating what happened without like blatantly saying though.
So would you consider Boys of Toman a dark romance? Because like
no.
But that's how I feel about like The Wrong Heart, is like the romance is like, I don't know, like I don't know how to describe the romance, but like the romance is normal, quote unquote, like however normal you can be, but like their life situations are dark. And I feel like that's a lot different from like the romance itself being dark, you know?
Yes. So, I mean, if we're getting technical by that, I think that if you want like...
Because that has like heavy trigger warnings, that series.
Boys of Toman?
Yeah.
I don't know why it's YA, but, you know.
I mean, I think that Saving Redeeming 6 are not young adult at all, but...
Oh, no. I don't know. It's weird. Like, if you want to get technical, I think like dark romance is considered dark romance if the darkness happens to the characters. Like, either between them,
in
to
the
them.
romance.
Yes. So like that's why I consider Still Beating, I would consider that definitely dark romance because the trauma and the torture happened to both characters at the same time and they were forced to do things together.
But like that also happens in Saving the Redeeming 6. But like that's not I'm just like trying to like logically think about like why we label things dark romance or not, because like we don't say those are dark romances, but like,
well, okay, it's because Joey and Aoife, it's not like happening to them at the same time.
It does
like okay, that is like, yes, that is I don't consider it dark in that way because it's like a one thing. It's not it doesn't encompass the whole romance. It
encompasses the entire rest of the romance with her and his relationship with the family.
Yes.
So,
but
which is what you can argue about other dark romances. Like, it can be one instance makes the entire book a dark romance.
And I think that's where it comes into like what you consider dark and like what your like if it's a constant thing over and over and over and over again throughout the whole book, and it's a constant like. I think like for me, I would consider that dark, but like, I think there's dark and triggering things in Saving and Redeeming. I don't think Binding and Keeping 13 is, because like their romance is like really sweet, but like In the Wrong Heart, they also talk about that, but their romance together is like more sweet. So
yeah,
it's like a dark topics in a romance versus dark romance.
Yeah.
So like is dark romance only between the characters when they're like unhinged and dark and do non-con, dub-con, stuff like that? Like
I don't know, because even like the Mind F series, there's no darkness, I mean, between them except for the fact that they're like on opposite sides of the law. But like it's a dark romance because of her brutally murdering all these people. Like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah. But also at the same time, like going back to like killing people, it's like, oh, she's just killing people.
Literally, yeah. I mean, because I think about like I was raised on 80s action movies, like.
But do you think that Lights Out is a dark romance?
No, I like, to me it's fun. Like, I don't know how to like the tone it takes. Like Butcher and Blackbird too is like unhinged, I don't consider fun those, and it doesn't feel dark, even though like they're literal like psychopathic.
Maybe we're just like desensitized to
that's
this
why
stuff.
I'm like, what do I think is like a dark, like even like Haunting Adeline, I was like, it's dark and there's dark moments, but I was like, I thought it was gonna be like hardcore dark. So
I really don't know,
because there are dark things out there.
No, I'm like, have I actually even read a dark romance? Like,
I mean, like, I think that because when I said that one book by Pam Godwin where he like is kidnapped and basically like trained to be a slave for her, so she can like give him to his master, like that's super dark, and that's like kind of like Gianna's enslaved duet too. That very reminds me of that. So you've read that.
I will say Gianna's enslaved duet is pretty dark. The first book specifically was, whoo! Alexander does some shit, man.
Let me see, because I did a video on it back when I was reading like a ton of dark romance. Like,
yeah, I have a lot of rec videos, but now I'm like, what dark romance have I read? I don't fucking know. Like even My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington, I don't even consider that. He's just fucking unhinged.
Yeah.
Oh, Nyla Kay writes some dark romance stuff.
Is that dark though or taboo? I've never read her, so
I don't remember. I haven't like fully read anything by her.
Oh, Deliver by Pam Godwin is what I'm thinking of. Sometimes it's like hard to take them seriously though, because they're like Does It Hurt by H.G. Carlton. I'm like, what am I reading right now? Like, he literally hates her so much that she's bleeding. He makes her bleed, shoves her head into shark-infested waters, and has sex with her while her head is underwater and these sharks are circling her. Like, tell me that's not unhinged.
Bananas. That's how I feel about the C.R. Jane book that I read. It was like hockey romance. He's just alpha. He's just like, over the top. He wants to kind of like control what she does, where she goes, stuff like that. I'm like, I can deal with that. It's fine. And all of a sudden, bam, I'm keeping her in my fucking basement. She's never leaving. All this stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now?
But sometimes I'm like, this is just so crazy. Like, I can't look away. Like,
I mean, yes, I think I finished that book because of that. Wait, let me make sure I'm talking about the right book. I think I finished the book because I was like, I can't look away.
They're just fun.
Yeah, The Fucking Wrong Number. I gave it 2 stars. I don't even know what I read. It was just, that's it. That was my review.
Yeah.
He's a morally great anti-hero. Yeah, he gets the wrong number by her. Like, and then he becomes obsessed with her. That's what it was. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm reading right now. But I did finish it. I sure shit did not put that book down.
I did put Sea of Ruin.
I put Phantom by Greer Rivers, and that's just dark because it's like Phantom of the Opera type. I don't know.
I think it's just interesting because like everybody does have their own definition of what dark is. So like when I hear something that's like, oh, this is a dark romance, I'm like thinking this is like Unhinged, the darkest of dark. So, okay, but like what we talked about is like there's different things that are triggering to different people that could be considered way more dark than other people. So,
yeah, that's why it's funny when it's like the darkest books I've ever read, and it's books that I wouldn't even consider dark is funny, or it's these super dark books. I'm like, yeah, shit, those are dark. I can't even touch those. Like they're too dark for me. But
I don't know. Is there anything you like won't read because it's too dark?
If there's the constant on page, I don't think I've ever even gone through a book if it's like a younger character, like when in their past, when they're a child. If there's anything that happened to them, I don't think I can read that.
But like, are there any books that come to mind? You're like, that's way too dark for me. I'd never read it. The Charity B book that has necrophilia in it. No,
fuck
interest.
that. I can't do that. That's too much. Too much.
I don't want to read that either. So,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think dark romance is, like we said, it's like a huge, broad topic, and it encompasses a lot of different things.
Something for everyone too. Like,
yeah. So it's obviously like a scale. So
be the darkest they've read. Yeah. Because if you're reading just like small town romances, you're like, whoa.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's one thing also to be aware of that like dark romance is not, it's something for people to explore things. So like people are like, oh, I can't believe you read. Every time I post like a dark romance, dark romance, something, I always get a comment. It's like, oh, how can you read that? It's like, I read what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
I read what I enjoy. I like exploring other things, like the psyche of a unhinged character. Like that's part of the reason why I love certain dark romances, right? I love that exploration, but it's not happening to me in real life. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like a safe place. And I feel like dark romance gets that stigma. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
It's not happening here.
Right. I mean, like, even though I didn't love Untouchable, like so many of my friends did. And I'm like, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, how dare you like that? You're so sick. It's like, okay, like you liked it. Cool. I didn't. Cool. Like.
Exactly. Like I haven't liked Rina Kent's previous stuff, and it's literally nothing on her as an author. Mm-hmm. It's just literally, I don't know if the way that she writes unhinged heroes is for me. That's literally all it is. It could be any other dark romance author, but in this case, it just so happens to be Rina Kent. So like everyone's like, you should try Rina Kent. I'm like, bitch, I have.
Okay, but like try the Monster
times.
Trilogy and then come back to me.
I mean, like that's the thing. Like I will be open. I will never say never, but like it's just one of those things. It's like, you think I haven't tried to like Rina Kent? Like she is so fucking popular. I want to be on the hype train. I have FOMO.
But what have you tried to read?
I don't know. I don't think I marked them on Goodreads. Definitely The God of Malice for sure. Let me see if I marked it.
Did you try to read the one that I didn't like because it was a high school bully?
I don't know what that is.
Like The Elite King? No.
All I have is
Deviant
I gave God of Malice 1 star.
Oh, well.
I just said
this month, so.
I said just no. But like I don't even remember what it was. My God, she has so many books in this series. I'm trying to think of what else I tried to read. I've tried her like 2 or 3 times for sure. Because I said, Deviant King?
That's the one I didn't like because it was high school bully.
When did I read this? 3.5 stars. Wait, it says, I think I finally figured out bully romances are not my thing. What? February of 2022. Oh, Vow of Deception?
You didn't like the Deception trilogy?
It says I read it, but
I
don't have a rating.
On my TBR.
2021. I don't have a rating for it, though. So I clearly don't remember. Anyway, like, I've tried, but I'm like, I just don't know if she's for me. Yeah, it's okay. That's okay. Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, that was very, very fun and open and honest conversation. And please be nice in the comments. I know a lot of people, like I said, have things to say about dark romance, but no negativity. It is a safe place in the comments. Just want to throw that out there. But if you're watching on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating. Tell us what you thought of the podcast. What is the emoji?
Oh, a skull.
A skull.
Yeah. Give me a skull or a blood drop.
We'll do the skull. We'll do the skull.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed our bookish life, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.